Hey buddies, Mr. Pugly here coming at you with another Borderlands 3 video. Today I'm going to be showing you where the black market machine is located this week, and I want to show you what each weapon can do. But before we get into it, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You have no idea how much helps me out, and let's get into it. So first things first, where this black market machine is actually going to be located is on Pandora. So it's going to be right into the droughts. Now there's two places you can actually fast travel in the droughts. I personally would recommend fast traveling to the highway because the area that we're going to is right over here on this little piece of the map. So the closest location is to the highway. So I'm going to spawn in over there real quick, and it's not even a far drive at all. So I'm going to real quick drive over there. So when you spawn in the vehicle, all you have to really do is just keep right and you'll eventually see the black market machine. It takes me about like 6 seconds to actually get there. And once you see the VAR Kids pod, you'll know you're close because it's actually just right here. Now the items that are in this week's black market machine is the Kaoson. I'm not honestly sure how to pronounce it, but I'm sure someone will tell me how to pronounce it correctly in the comments. Kaoson is actually an amazing SMG. Definitely highly recommend grabbing one of these, especially if you play Moze. And besides that, we have the Storm and the Firestorm as well. Both of these are pretty okay snipers. They did buff snipers in general, so they are better than what they used to. Unless you're running an elemental build with Amara or doing some type of splash damage with Moze, I wouldn't really recommend these. I'm sure you could find a good way to do it with Zane, because Zane does a pretty good job with snipers. But generally these weapons are kind of and I'll showcase why I feel that way. And then the Dictator, I personally wouldn't advise spending any money on the Dictator. The Monarch does its job a lot better, but let's actually go to Sanctuary so I can actually show you what each piece of gear can do. And just in case you didn't see exactly where on the map I'm right here on the map. I'm going to zoom out all the way, and let's go to Sanctuary. So first things first, let's talk about the Dictator, which is arguably the least interesting one here. The Dictator can spawn in any element, each element having an 8% chance of dropping, while most Dictators are going to be non-elemental, which is around 60%. So you can get any element you want with this particular gun. Now what the Dictator does really interesting is when you shoot it, it shoots in large areas left to the right, like a, how would I describe it? I guess in a big horizontal spread is the best way I could describe it. It can shoot up to 3 to 6 bullets. It shoots a decent amount of bullets, but it's nothing too well. I personally really dislike this weapon because even if you're aiming directly at the enemy, you won't actually hit. Like I'm aiming at the Jack clone, I'm not hitting at all. I have to kind of aim away from the enemy to actually hit it. So that's one part that I don't really like. The other cool thing about this weapon is when you go into bipod, you get more projectiles. So that's pretty useful. You can actually aim and shoot the enemy right in front of you if you're close enough. Otherwise, if you're too far away, you won't actually hit them like here, which is honestly really annoying. You're better off just going with a Monarch at this point if you want a gun that's like this. Let's move on to the best weapon you can get from the vending machine is the Kaoson. Now the Kaoson has a chance on dropping multiple different firing modes. There's fully automatic, semi-auto, and burst fire. Pretty much what you want to get is full auto because you want to be able to shoot as fast as possible, as you guys are probably already aware. The faster you fire, the more DPS you can deal. But the real interesting thing about this weapon is that every single bullet that you shoot sticks a sticky grenade on the actual enemy, and the actual bullets itself deal splash damage, which is very nice if you're a Moze main. It's very powerful as Moze. And then obviously the grenades it leaves is also splash damage, so you can do a lot of wonky stuff. It's actually really good with the Minesweeper because each crit that you put onto the enemy, it's considered 2 crits, so you can get a lot of Minesweeper procs like I showed you right there to happen really quickly, which is very nice. There's a chance on you getting a Kaoson that's able to shoot 2 bullets per shot. I don't actually have one of those, but that's what you want to look for. The god roll for Kaoson is usually a full auto with 2 ammo per shot, and I'm actually going to go to Graveward so I can show you case how powerful this weapon is after we go across the 2 other weapons. So the Storm and the Firestorm are different sides of the same coin. They're actually just variants based off each other. So the Firestorm, I would argue, is one of the better ones, but that isn't really saying much because both the orbs that spawn have a hard time hitting enemies. So when you hit an enemy with the Firestorm, it summons these orbs that go up to the sky and then eventually slam back down, similar to like how the Firestorm grenade is actually like. The splash damage here is actually pretty decent because I have Moze, which increases my amount of splash damage radius, but generally most characters won't be able to hit with the orbs because of the way that they spawn too far away from the enemies and they won't actually hit the enemy. Like there, only 1 orb actually hit the enemy, which is very inconvenient. And the regular Storm sniper rifles, I'll actually go into the battlefield a little bit further so we can actually see what these orbs do. But when you shoot them, they summon these orbs, and then these orbs chain lightning to any enemies that are nearby. Chain lightning that spawns from the orbs do not deal splash damage, which is unfortunate, but if it did, it'd definitely be top tier, I would say. The only difference between the two is the element. So if the storm spawns with fire, it turns into a firestorm. If it spawns with shock, it turns into a storm. There's only two elements. 66% of storms are going to be a shock, and the other 33% are converted to firestorms. Now let's go kill Grave Ward so I can show you how powerful the Kaoson is and how the storm orbs work exactly. All right, so now that Grave Wards actually spawned some enemies, let me show you real quick. Hopefully I can get the orbs to spawn and actually deal the shock damage. Okay, so right there, as you see, the shock damage is very, very low, which is really, really weird. You would think that the shock damage would scale a little bit better based off of the actual sniper rifle damage, but the chain lightning is very, very bad. I'm sure if they looked at the weapon and maybe patched on how it works, they could actually make it a good weapon. But right now, the main fire is the only thing that actually deals decent damage, and the chain lightning is nothing to write home about. But now that we're actually at a good point, let me show you how the Kaoson actually works. It's actually really, really powerful. So I'm going to exit, enter Iron Bear real quick so we can get the most damage amount as possible. And I'm going to turn around and completely obliterate this guy in a few seconds. And that wasn't too perfect. Of course, I could have done that a little bit better, but just in a few seconds, the Grave Ward was down, which is very, very awesome for any weapon to really do. But I would definitely recommend you guys getting the Kaoson. It's the best weapon you can get out of all the bunches. I'd argue that maybe you should only get that weapon unless you're, of course, maybe looking to get the sniper rifle challenge done this week. Maybe you can get a firestorm. I wouldn't really recommend a regular storm. But that's pretty much it. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I hope y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
And the last shall be first to immerse in a pass out heat, facing him up with a moxie melt till he woke up drowning in tchotchke hell. War in a cave with a torch on a wall, then a window arrangement of porcelain dolls.